We're going to be adding fractions, and we have this app. If you scan that code, we can get to the app on the left here. And this app helps us see how we can add fractions together and get common denominators. So if we take a look at example A, we have 1/2 plus 1/4. So I've shown the 1/2 fraction in red, the 1/4 fraction in green. And to be able to add these together, when we put them together like this, it's hard to see how many parts out of how many parts whole, because the red part and the green part are not the same size. So because they're not the same size, we can't really count them or add them together. So what we have to do then is we have to find a multiplying factor to make these denominators the same. So what I want to do is I want to divide these into the 1/2 fraction into 1/4 fractions. And we end up seeing that 2/4 is the same as 1/2. To get that, we need a multiplying factor of ×2 on top and ×2 on bottom. So when we do that, the red fraction becomes 2/4, or 2/4, and that's ×2 is times is grouping, so we can see that we've grouped the top and bottom, the two pieces in red, and the 4 pieces that make up the whole. And when we do that, we now have a common denominator. And we can see that we can add that to the 1/4 fraction. So we have 2/4 and 1/4, and together they make 3/4. So on the right hand side there, we can see 3/4. And again, we have 3 out of 4. So when we get a common denominator, we're getting the same size fraction. That allows us to count the numerator. So we get 2 plus 1 is 3. We don't add the denominator because the denominator tells us the size of the fraction. And when we add or count, we're not changing the size of the fraction. On the right-hand side here, or sorry, on the left-hand side, we can show this in the app. So we have 1/2 plus 1/4. If we touch the add button, what it does is it gives us the common denominator. And if we expand this, we're going to end up with 2/4. Okay, and then I got to keep the 1/4 the same, and we have 2/4 and 1/4, and that equals our answer. And we can just show that as 3/4. Okay, so if we get stuck, we can always go back to that app. So looking at example B, we have a 1/2 fraction and a 1/3 fraction. So I'm just going to do it over here. So I'm going to reset. And I'm going to have 1/2 plus 1/3. I'm going to see what that looks like. And we're going to do 1/2 plus 1/3. So we're going to add these together. We're going to expand the first fraction into 6. And we're going to expand the second fraction into 6. And it looks like we end up with 3/6, the same as 1/2. 2/6, the same as 1/3. We have 3/6 plus 2/6, they're the same size fraction, and we're going to end up with 5/6. So on the right hand side here, we can see the common denominator, and we can see that we add to 5/6. So again, we can use that app to help us out with visualize what's going on here. So I need to make the 1/2 fraction. I'm going to times by 3 times by 3, and that's going to give me 3 1/6 pieces. So I'm going to draw the 1/6 pieces like that, and then I'm going to shade in 3 of those, 1, 2, 3, to represent the 3/6. For the 1/3 fraction, I'm going to times by 2 times by 2, and that's going to end up giving me the 2/6 fraction. So I'm going to end up with 2 shaded here. So this gives me 2/6. And when I add them together, I end up with 5 1/6 pieces. So in this case here, Two of those pieces came from the 1/3. Three of them came from the 1/2. So 1/2 plus 1/3 gives me 5/6.